In the first video of this series, I tried to spark interest in Fabric for DevOps people. And now I think it's time to describe how to sell the DevOps culture for data people. So let's jump in. The biggest mistake? Treating Fabric as a drag and drop tool, but it's not. It's unified SaaS data platform, but still it requires reliable engineering practices. And Fabric makes development easy, but it doesn't magically handle governance, deployments, testing, recoveries, and all that jazz. DevOps fills that gap. Yeah, Fabric is a powerful platform, but if you want to scale it and not have the single workspace where everyone will work and do their job, you need to have those DevOps practices implemented. And we will see all of the benefits and drawbacks in a second. But pretty much the mistake, as I kindly put it already, is that teams do rely on manual UI clicks mostly instead of automation. And you don't have any source control available, so you don't have the ability to roll back in case of a mistake. And it leads to a drift, and people will step on each other's toes, and they will be annoyed with that. When someone new will join the team, they will try to change things according to their way of doing, and then you don't have an easy way to roll back, or just you don't have any good culture and standards documented, which is part of DevOps culture as well. And let's now step back a little bit and discuss how usually the Fabric development is done. So, first of all, it is very easy to imagine that there are actually two streams happening in parallel. One of them is data ingestion, where the data engineers will work, and they don't just write code, but they do write code as well in notebooks, for example. And they have pipelines, they have lake houses, and so on. They work on data. And the second stream is actually the report developers or data analysts, and they will check what you have in your data and try to come up with a beautiful reports for business. So they operate mostly from the business perspective rather than data engineering. And that separation matters because they have two different tasks and different goals, but at the same time they work together to make business happy. And here you can see some of the ideas that I put, why that separation really matters. Now, why DevOps becomes mandatory in this case? Well, first of all, as I said, you will have source control. So because of that, you would be able to roll back if something happens. Next, you have consistent promotion between different environments. And that means that when something works in dev, then you test it in your test environment, and finally you promote it to production, you are pretty confident that it will work as it's supposed to work. And the CI/CD, just in general, it protects it in production. You don't deploy to production blindly. You run your automation tests, you run your integration tests, and someone will review those changes before promotion. So it's safer. And the final reason, number four, is you have your security and compliance by default. If everything lives in your source control, then it's auditable, and all of the deployments they are approved by someone else, so it's safer once again. Now, this is how I would put a typical workspace setup and work separation between those two streams. So at the top you have the data engineering team working, and at the bottom you have the reporting team working separately. For all of those, you will have three separate environments with dev, test, and production, and the data quality and different activities in those different workspaces will be different. But how DevOps will fit into this model? Well, splendidly, I would say. For the engineers and the analysts, both of them, they will have Git integration enabled in their dev environment, in their dev workspace. So everything will be committed into the source control. Then, once again, everything, that's the second bullet point, is deployed through CI/CD, automation all the way. And for the engineers, they will be happy because they will have automated tests and they can prove that whatever the pipeline is supposed to do, it is doing exactly that. And for reports, it is once again, you have consistent environments and reviewing and reporting. You can show some work in progress for your stakeholders and not show it only in dev environment where you don't really have good data, but you can show it in test environments that is almost production like. That's a really nice way of assigning and signing off your work. Let's get back to that picture once again and point a couple of things over here. So both of the streams will, as I said, have a Git integration in the dev workspace. Then there would be some interesting changes that I can suggest, but not necessarily you would implement. Each of the workspaces will have their own separate data sources. So for dev, it would be most likely a mock data curated. You don't really care about this one. It's a dev data sources and not necessarily a single database as in on the picture, but many of them coming together. What do you have? Then you commit your changes to Git, and you have your pre-commit hook that will check that, for example, the naming convention for all of the elements in your workspace, they are good. If it is, you can promote to your test workspace. In test workspace, the first thing that you will do when you deploy it there, you will update your connections to use something that is more stable and QA-like. And on top of that, you will run your unit tests in that workspace. So you can trigger the REST endpoints of the workspace and run the pipelines and see what is the result. So you can validate if number of rows is correct based on the test source, and you know what it will be there, and so on. And finally, after all of the tests are green, you can promote to production. And in production, you will update your connections yet again to use the real production data and have your schedules on and on a correct time schedule. At the same time, in parallel for the reporting, you might have a separate dev source workspace that will have only the curated data that will help reporting team and the analyst team to work on those reports. So they don't work with a data workspace, which could be messy and changing all the time. But instead, they can do the development work and follow only their own workspace. After that, they will deploy to test workspace for the reporting. And here you will have the first connection between test data workspace and the test reporting workspace. So it's a perfect place where you can run your integration tests and see how the reports will actually look like. On top of that, exactly here, you will show those reports to your stakeholders before they accept them. And as soon as they accept them, it can be promoted to production where you will use a connection to production data that is clean, good, and valid. Well, perfect world, right? And now, how DevOps engineers can sell that culture yet again? Well, you can show the pain, all of those broken pipelines and overwritten notebooks and mysterious failures of your reports. That is a good indicator that you need the DevOps culture implemented and DevOps workflows fixing things altogether. You will demonstrate how Git will prevent chaos, and basically with CI/CD, you reduce the workload of people. Because if you don't know what is going on, how it is failing, and what is the reason to all of that chaos, you need to debug it yet again and again and again. With CI/CD, you can be pretty confident that your production is stable. So yeah, it promotes stability and not bureaucracy. And when you've done that workflow and the process of deploying from dev to test to prod, it becomes a norm and it speeds up things. On top of that, you will have your documentation and the naming convention, so it's not a Wild West anymore. And yeah, it's simple, repeatable workflows that really sell the DevOps culture. And the message is pretty simple. Let me read it from the slide. Fabric development, it's actually a software engineering. Multiple teams, multiple artifacts, multiple environments. And without DevOps, things will break But if you want DevOps, then you will have that scale and ability to use Fabric for enterprise. Cool. With that, I hope you liked this video, and please subscribe to my channel. See you.